This is the late author, the Latin American author. His name is probably one of the most famous authors in the world. Gabriel Jose Garcia Marquez. Obviously, you've probably heard of this name. You remember him as the guy who wrote 100 Years of Solitude. You know him as the guy who was the most committed leftist. You know him as the guy who opened a film school in Cuba. And you know him as the guy who discovered ice, or at least was introduced to it. Let's get started with his life. Now, there's not many details about his life. He has overshared a lot, and he has shared a bunch in his biographies. However, this is the best I can do right now. I'll probably mainly use drawings today, because the internet, So, the March 6, 1927. On March 6th of 1927, he was born in his hometown of, at the time, not so well known, Aracataca, which is in Colombia. Nowadays, it's most commonly associated with the guy. Here's a billboard with the guy. Since his grandparents did not really approve of his parents' marriage, this really happened. So his dad was basically a pretty good guy. He was also a liberal, or no, he was a conservativist, a conservativist. There we go, a conservative, right here in blue. And so, well, her parents were very, very unapproving of all this. They ended up going ahead and doing this. They wanted his head off, but eventually they just let the marriage happen because, also they were not really into the thing where they learned that this guy was a womanizer. At least, so said the rumors. But, hey, at least he won their daughter's heart. So they went ahead, gave them their blessing, boom, 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 they got married. However, they were kind of estranged because of that. So Gabriel spent most of his life, at least most of his childhood, with his grandparents. And since this is their grandparents, well, he went ahead and learned a heck of a lot from them, especially his grandpa. His grandpa was a liberal veteran from the 1,000 Days War, and he was highly respected among the people who fought on the liberal side. So the liberals were, highly respecting him. That's basically what I'm saying. Later on in his life, his grandpa went ahead and showed him towards this place called the UFC, which stands for United Fruit Company. They visited their store and they found this miracle. Ice. Well, to them it was a miracle because they were living in a place where ice never existed. After his formal education, Gabriel went ahead and became a journalist. When he became a journalist, well, a lot of things happened between several years, which are more specifically 1948 to 1949. He went ahead and worked at the El Universal place, which was in Cartagena. Afterwards, he wrote under the pseudonym Septimus for the local newspaper El Heraldo. And, basically he wrote a lot of whimsical articles. And later on, he went ahead and wrote some great books. That's what actually got him out. He literally said himself that he always thought of himself as a writer. He never imagined himself as something else. He was always a journalist by heart. And he was always going to be that. Eventually, he wrote the book 100 Years of Solitude. And that book was an instant bestseller, selling over millions, tens of millions of copies, more specifically, somewhere in the 30 millions of copies worldwide in several languages. Several, that means in tens of languages. Afterwards, he went ahead and wrote a bunch of other books too, like his biography. Later on, since he was a deeply committed leftist, he went ahead and friended the Cuban revolutionist and leader. You know him, you love him, Fidel Castro. And he became great friends with the guy. And with Castro's support, he went ahead and turned into, a film industry school maker. And he created the first film industry school in Cuba. Later on, after several interviews and after several public appearances, even his public celebration of his birthday, he went ahead and ultimately died on April 17th of 2014 in the city of Mexico City in Mexico. So that worked out all right. And that is the life of Gabriel Jose Garcia Marquez. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you guys soon. And so until next time, Shana now, peace. Bye bye.